Okay, hopefully you saw the last video where I just covered the basic controls of Blender and how to get around. Um, Hopefully you took the time before going to this video to just play around a little bit, because part of learning Blender is just kind of screwing around a little bit. um, so yeah, so in this one we're actually going to start making something. Yeah, you're ready to do that now. So first thing that I'm going to have you do is just clean up your area a little bit. In this 3D simulation area mode, you usually have two panels on the side, and they can be toggled on and off with T and N. So just T and N. You won't need them for a while. We'll use them a little bit later, and I'll explain what they do. But for right now, just keep your area nice and clean. You don't need anything else in the way. We're just gonna focus on modeling today. Switch to edit mode. Sorry. We're gonna switch to edit mode, which we can do with either just pressing tab till this square becomes orange, or just okay, sorry about that. Just press tab to switch between until you get to edit mode, or down here at the bottom you can click to edit mode. Either one. So once you're in, you can deselect everything with A, and A also kind of toggles on and off the selecting and deselecting. First thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to cut from the front view. We're going to cut this in half. So what we're going to do here is go to front view, or the number pad A will take you there. And you can either use your knife and cut through here, or you can go ahead and do Control R and cut this in half. Either one that you want to use. I recommend just using the loop cut. So once we have that, we want to select everything on this side because we're going to be deleting all the faces on this side. So then go ahead and press X, delete faces. It should be right here. So just quickly going over those steps again. From the front view, Control R, loop cut, select all the side by holding Shift and selecting, or using C and selecting. X, delete faces. Boom, we're here. So now we have our half of a square, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using we're going to mirror the object so that we only have to work on one side. I rarely ever work without something mirrored. If I'm working on something asymmetrical, even that just the basic shape of it, I'm doing with mirror on. So now this next step, I'm just going to pull this little guy out. You're going to want to go to the wrench right here. When you hover over it, it should say object modifiers, or just modifiers. And you're going to go click add modifier, and under generate you're going to go to mirror. You just click that, and then you'll see that we have side now, and we cannot select anything on this side, which is what we want. Over here, a couple other things that you're going to want to add while we're over here under modifiers. We want to make sure that we're mirroring across the x-axis. If we do it across any of the others, you can't. Different, sorry, I can't English language right now. Different effects, and you may find it necessary to use, like if I'm making something that kind of round, like a crown, I used all of these, except for Z because it'd be underneath, but usually the more of these you have on, the more duplicates of your object that you're making. So it's 2 with Y, it's 4 with Z, it's 6, whatever. Another thing that we're going to want to add is clipping, because right now you will notice if when you're modeling this and you take this and you move it out here, now we have our other side is clipping into our editable or our side that we can control, for lack of a better word. And we don't want this. We don't want it doing this. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit clipping over here, and now you'll notice when any of our vertices reaches the middle, we can't move them. They can't intersect with each other. And that's exactly what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and move this menu back over here to give myself more room. And then one of the things that you can do to do this for this tutorial, I am not going to be using it, but I think you should know how to use it if you plan on using a background image. So you're going to press N, just have this right menu open. I kind of clean this up a little bit here. And you're going to want to go to the tab that says background images, and you're going to check that. And then you can go to add image, and then here you'll see where it says open. Okay, so I went ahead and quickly picked up an image here. So now you won't be able to see it right away unless you go into orthographic mode. And to do that, you either go through any of your views or hit the numpad, of course. So I picked I picked this one here. It's these otters, just as an example, and you can view it from any angle that you want. One thing that I do when working with background images is that I change some of the settings over here. You're going to want the image in front of your mesh, and you're going to want to change the opacity a little bit depending on how well you can see. And of course you can also change the size of the image if you want to. You can move it around wherever it best fits for you. So that's how to use background images. And of course you can use multiple and change it to any view that you want. So I just change it to bottom, so I can't see it unless I go to the bottom. And then you can turn it off as well, just delete it. So that's how to use the background images. Another important thing to remember is that when you're working from the right, which is what we're going to be doing, when you try to select a vertex and you try to move it, like let's say we wanted to move both of these, instead of just going to a different view to grab them, I recommend for the first couple of minutes of you modeling, you turn on this little setting here that says limit selection to visible. You want that off. You don't want to limit your selection to what is visible. That way you can see through the object, and especially from when you're working on the right, you can move all the vertices that are on top of each other from the right. So keep that on. Again, it's right next to where we would select the vertices, the lines, the edges, or the faces, and it's like a little box with box corners and then another faded box with box corners in the edge. Alright, so now we're actually going to get to modeling something. So you should be able to do pretty much just whatever you want to do for this purpose. For this tutorial, I'm gonna I'm gonna do a crocodile or a gar, since that is a prey that I want to make for cereal soup later in the future, so I'll just start on that now. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I start with the head. Other people start with the body, or you can start wherever you want to. I just start with the head because that's how I draw. I draw head first and then I draw everything else. So it's totally up to you. And don't start putting in a lot of detail here. You just want to get your basic shapes down, and then we worry about the details later. So it's like a crocodile. I'm going to start with the head here. And I'm just selecting with C and making these parts smaller with S. And I'm going to extrude here and make a neck. Whatever. Oh, crocodiles look, trust me. Chest area, I suppose. Sorry, I'm fucking dying. Here's a tail, I guess. Whatever. Doesn't have to be perfect. So now we have like a basic body shape here. Before I start adding limbs, I just go ahead and start making things look a little bit nicer. So crocodiles kind of have a sort of roundish end to the throat here. I'm going to have its mouth open, so I'm making the top jaw. I want the head to be a little bit more round here. Body a little bit more round. Pretty much everything a little bit more round. Of course, point the tail. I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah, so next I'm gonna loop cut here. Let's go back into our view. I think this would be a good spot for the first leg, and then maybe the second leg over here somewhere. And for this, usually when I do legs, I will well, I'll just show you what I do. I go ahead and cut a small opening here because animal legs do not intersect at the middle. There is a chest in between where the legs should be. I'm putting in the general shape of the legs here before I extrude them. Whoops. Let me just select faces. This is where selecting faces comes in handy. So we're gonna make our legs warp. Looks really good. Realism. And I'm just using the second form of rotate here. So I'm pressing R and then R again, just so I can line up these vertices. And you don't have to line them up perfectly. It's just what I do for right now, just makes things a little bit easier to work with. Sorry. Okay. So now I'm just gonna, cut the this is more of a knee. Don't be afraid of using references. Don't be afraid to use references. Usually when I do these things, I have like multiple tabs of references, from things as small as just the little hands, to textures on the back, you know, stuff like that. It's good to have just a bunch of references open, because no perfect, as evidenced by my beautiful crocodile here. Alright, so I also want to make his mouth open. Not all of the animals I make have an open mouth, but if you're going to be making something kind of complex and you do want it to be able to open and close its mouth, just go ahead and make a little slit there, change the angle, making it a little bit smaller. Look at it from the front, make sure it doesn't look weird. Pull this back a little bit. Usually for the inside of the mouth, I go ahead and make another vertex just so I can pull this, and then I pull the mouth in as far back as I possibly can before it might intersect with the neck or any kind of movement here. But I just tend to put the mouth in as deep as I possibly can, just because that's how it looks in real life. And we want to be #1 extreme realism here. Okay. Sorry, Alright, just making a few more extra details here. Okie doke. So, oops, a little bit of a big jaw there. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, okay. Maybe not. Whatever, it looks good. Okay, so you should be somewhere right here. Just have your basic outline of your creature. As you can see, it's just completely, if we go into object mode and take a look at him, he kind of looks like he's in water. Actually, let me go ahead and move him. Usually when you're putting him in games, if that's what you're making it for, the ground is this green line, and I just go ahead and try to center him on top of that green line. So there you go. Whoops, come up a little bit. And then boom, it's beautiful. It looks so good now.